At the end of your life, do you want to be remembered for how clean your house was, or the grades that your children received on their report card, or how much you could get done in a day? Or do you want to be remembered by the memories that you created, the impact that you made, and how you made others feel? All right, ladies, I'm back, and today is day 3 of the Live Alive, I don't know what it is, challenge, unchallenge, experience, community, conversation. And today's all about conscious parenting. And I talk about my own journey through conscious parenting. I talk about, some mindset reversal, where to start, where to begin, and how consciousness is not about a specific strategy. It's not about a step-by-step guidance. It's about listening to our soul and having the courage to jump in to what we desire. So that said, during this call, I also announced that I have a program starting, and I have never launched this program before. This program is called the Courageous Rewrite. It is a 5-week experience, and it starts with 2 days. Everything is live. So we're going to open the cart. We're going to close the cart. What does that mean? We're opening the program, closing the program, and we will have a round of women to go through this. This is not my mastery coaching experience. This is a 5-week, it's called the Courageous Rewrite. So step 1, what we're doing is you are getting super crystal clear on what is that vision that you want for your life. You may have some ideas, some dreams, some desires, all of that fun stuff. What does that look like for you in your personal and professional life? Giving yourself time and space to dream and step into that vision of you. And then the second aspect of this that we're going to do is I'm going to teach you my energetic time management process. Yes. And you're also going to have 4 additional weeks to implement, to ask me questions as a group. We're going to have live Q&A, and it's rinse and repeat. By the end of 5 weeks, you're going to have that vision of who you want to be next level. And you're also going to have a really good kickstart on the energetic time management process. So it's half dreaming and stepping in and half strategy. And we're also going to be digging deeper into what is getting in your way from manifesting that. So if you've heard me say the magic happens in the action, and we need to be invested in order to see results, I have something for you. So we are actually going to open the cart for this 5-week program on Monday. So that is this Monday, and Monday only, we will be offering $500 off this program. So that is Monday, September 28th. All day. So what's going to happen is for those of you who text me, you can either text me the fire emoji, or if you're like, what the heck is a fire emoji? Text the word fire, FIRE, to my phone number, which is, I'm going to tell you what it is, and I'm going to look it up to make sure I don't say it incorrectly. It is 313-710-5199. So when you text me the word FIRE, FIRE, to 313-710-5199, if you're like, I have been wanting to work with Heather, I've been thinking about the mastery program. This is not a lower level, but this is an easier yes. It's less of a time commitment. It's also less of a financial commitment. If you've been sitting on the fence, now is the time to take action. If those burning desires within you are saying, please pay attention to me, I'm going to show you how to feel in alignment in your work, your relationships, your parenting, your time, your energy, your health. And everything that's been getting in your way is going to come up and it's going to come out. And we're going to work through it together. So if you know that you are ready, then get on the list. Get on the list to get the promo code for $500 off. This is a 25% savings. I will not be doing this again. I have no idea when I'm going to offer this again. I'm going to see how it goes. I am going to be all in. There's no pre-recordedness. This is live. Me and you live. An intimate group of women making magic happen. All right. So again, text me 313-710-5199. Text the word FIRE to get on the list for the promo code. And then Monday morning, I'm going to be sending it out to you via text message with the link so that you can get registered. All right, let's dive in to day 3. Okay, hello everybody. So we are on day 3. Day 3 of Live Alive. And today I'm going to be talking about conscious parenting and relationships. So you can either be like, oh, dang, I'm hopping off now, or I'm excited. I'm going to go over a little bit of what we've talked about and, why it's important, what we talked about. So just some housekeeping, quick housekeeping. What is Live Alive? Live Alive is for women who want more, who are like not this, who are out of alignment. I have a true belief that the more alive you become, the more aligned you feel in your life, in your energy. That's the greatest gift we're going to give the world. And as women, mothers, business owners, whoever you are, we've been taught to live a different way. And I'm just here to reverse engineer how I want to feel in my life. As we begin to reverse engineer, what happens is we are breaking generational patterns. We are looking at our belief systems. We're looking at how we're showing up in the world. So day 1, we talked about your why, and why it's really important to understand your why. Because if we don't know why we want change, what's going to motivate us when things get really uncomfortable. And day 2, I was talking about sustainable habits. And it was more of a concoction of me talking about, my journey with trying to push through resistance and what that looked like for me, but also what sustainability really looks like being committed for the long haul, and how that is you just gotta dig deep sometimes, but we can do that in alignment with how we want to feel. So day 2 homework, I gave you a journal prompt that said, wouldn't it be nice if, and your job was to have 20 wouldn't it be nice if, and just randomly go, not think about it. And for those of you who are participating, I think tomorrow I'm going to be announcing some winners. So if you haven't already, just post some homework online or within the Facebook group. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to heatherchauvin.com/alive. And I'm going to put this on Instagram and pin it. So heatherchauvin.com/alive and register. You can register via email or via text message. And once you get in, there is a Facebook group that you will have access to. So in the Facebook group, we're having more conversations. We also have mentors in the Facebook group, and they are here to help you answer questions you have, aha moments, build that relationship with you to help you see value and create change in your life. Now, some of you, so you can tag me on Instagram at Heather Chauvin with your homework. Some of you have been DMing them to me via text message, posting them in your Facebook group. So wherever you're posting, you're kind of getting a point every single time. And tomorrow we are going to randomly draw, and I will be pulling out those people tomorrow. So pay attention. We'll tag you. We'll reach out to you. So I'm going to be giving away some journals. These are my favorite journals, and some other prizes that we'll just give you an option for. The reason why I'm smelling it is because they're made with recycled apple peels. So you might be like, what the heck? Why are you smelling your journal? That is why. I also have a big announcement that is going to come today at the end. So hang on to that. And I'm going to write this because it is worth $500. Yes, it is worth $500. And I'm making sure that I actually say it. So remind me towards the end if you were here to be like, what did you say? So I'm going to announce that for people listening today, and you are going to want to take advantage of that. Okay, so let me do a quick check-in. So excited for this topic. Amazing. Conscious parenting. Thank you. Awesome. We're all good. So we're still awesome. Okay, so let's dive into conscious parenting. I always think you've all heard my story, but not everybody has heard my story. I'm going to talk about how I see parenting now, how I saw it when I first became a parent, what I often see people doing, and understand there is no right way. There's no wrong way here. I truly believe that the mentors and teachings and learnings and aha moments that you are supposed to come to in your life, like you just follow the breadcrumbs. So for me, my journey through conscious parenting was when I decided to teach my son, who is now 15, but he was around 4 years old, when I decided to teach him meditation and mindfulness. And the reason why I decided to teach him meditation and mindfulness was because when I was a social worker, I was working with families, and I see this often where we are labeling the behavior of the child. We're talking to the child, we're talking about the behavior, but we are not giving tools to help manage the energy and the emotion of the behavior. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? It's like we've been so conditioned to run around and be like, I need to know what's wrong. Give me the diagnosis. And so focused on the diagnosis, but we're not actually focused on the practical day-to-day strategy on how you can actually solve that problem now. So what was happening is I had education in mental health. I was working in mental health. And then I would go home and I felt like a huge hypocrite because I was yelling. I was overwhelmed. I didn't understand consciousness. And what I mean by consciousness is self-awareness. And I had no emotional self-awareness, and neither did a lot of the parenting books that I was reading, believe it or not, because it was like, here's the strategy on how to manage this behavior. Here's a strategy on how to manage this behavior. So I believe, this is my personal belief, you do not need to agree with me. I believe our children pick us as their parents, biological or not, as a spiritual journey. Like, I believe my child, I have 3 boys, my child picked me and their father so that we could come together to create this, bring the soul into the world so that they can have their own spiritual experience. And it was divinely created. That is what I believe. I did not always believe that when I started parenting, but I kind of came to that belief. It also gave me great confidence that I wasn't screwing up my children in some capacity, that a lot of their struggles and challenges were not a reflection of, quote unquote, my behavior, but a mere reflection of maybe what I needed to learn or how I could show up differently in my life to coach, to guide them. So I see my role as a mother as a spiritual guide for my children. I do not see my role as, someone who cooks perfect meals, someone who makes sure that we have the best adventures, someone who buys my child everything. My successful parenting to me is that my children feel safe, loved, and accepted for who they are, not who I want them to be in the world. Now, when I'm working with parents, I don't just focus on the child. I believe that the child, the parent-child's, people call it parenting, which is so weird to me because when you think about parenting,
what is parenting to you? Like, how would you define parenting? I'm really curious. Just type it in the chat box if you are watching this. What is parenting like in one sentence? If someone said, what does parenting mean to you? What does it mean to you? It's usually a delay, so I will wait. It's like Jeopardy. The awkward silence. Okay, parenting is a mentor. They believe the same. Okay, to me, parenting is a relationship. I believe parenting is a relationship. Life is about relationships. So when people say conscious parenting, it is about, so people are saying teaching and guidance is guidance. I think I'm using your words, Heather, but we are guideposts. Teaching and guiding a child, helping to build a responsible human, safe, loved, and accepted for them. Yes, so parenting is teaching your children how to be good citizens in society. Awesome. So whatever your definition is, to me, there's no right or wrong because that's your belief. Raising my children to be the best of their abilities based on their unique needs. Okay, cool. So to me, parenting is a relationship. So if I'm constantly working on the core of the relationship, I am improving that relationship. But in any relationship, there's two people, right? There's the parent and there's the child. So if you have a relationship with a partner, a spouse, there's you and there's the partner and spouse. If you have a relationship with a friend, it's you and the friend. And I see the exact same thing with parenting. Now, maybe your quote unquote perceived responsibilities are different in each relationship, right? So I probably have more of a moral responsibility to make sure that my child grows up to be a good human or adult rather than just a friend, right? Or you get what I'm saying. But I think what we have to realize is that it is a two-way street and it is a relationship, because a lot of parents, we have been taught that children, that the hierarchy is the parent is up here and the child is down here. Meaning the child, what do they say? What's that saying? The old paradigm is the child is seen but not heard. So there's a hierarchy here of like, everything that I say and do is right, and you cannot question my authority. So I'm not going to get into the different types of parenting. This is just kind of like an overview of what I've learned in a concoction of all of that. Conscious parenting to me is about self-awareness. So when a child is triggering you or a child's behavior is doing something to you, any trigger that you have is an opportunity for growth within yourself. Now, you will have people that can get very perfection-y about like conscious parenting and all of this stuff. And there's a lot of fear in parenting. There's a lot of overwhelm. There's a lot of guilt. So when we're parenting from a place of fear, we're often taking action out of fear. So I'm going to show you, that's why I put this here today. If you ever heard me talk about a belief cycle, and if you are just listening to this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I want you to think about, you can't see this here. I have a squeaky chair. I want you to think about a watch. So at the top is noon, and this is belief. And then we have stories or thoughts that we have. And then there is where you're going to take an action or inaction. So I'm just going to put act or an X. Okay. So you're going to take action here or inaction. And then this is the reality that you create. If you guys have, or ladies, gentlemen, whoever you are, oh my gosh, my chair is so squeaky, have questions, just post them in the chat and I'll get to it when I do Q&A. When I say reality, that can be very mixed as well, because a lot of times our reality is the emotional reality. So telling ourselves a story, and then therefore the reality is like, oh my gosh, this child is making me angry, this child won't listen to me, all of this stuff. But there's actually like a belief, and then the thought comes in, and then the action and all of that. So this is I don't want to say complex, but it's a very conscious system. So this takes some learning and growing. So if you're like, I've never heard of conscious parenting before, this is really overwhelming to me, dive into Dr. Shafali, get into meditation, get into anything growth mindset related, and you will begin to understand what I'm talking about. Or go listen to my podcast. I talk about this a lot on the podcast, Mom is in Control. So conscious parenting / relationships, same concept. Parenting is a relationship. Repeat it again. Parenting is a relationship, and you are not always right in your relationships. Your ego loves to make you want to feel right, and sometimes it's a give and take, okay? So sometimes it's the other person, sometimes it's you, sometimes it's just an energy of both. So I'm going to go back now. When I became a parent, I had the formal education. I dove into how much formal education I could get my hands on because I never wanted to feel, my belief was I was afraid I was going to fail as a parent. Okay. I was afraid I was going to fail as a parent because I was a single teen mom. And so I already felt like I was failing. So my belief was I'm not good enough. The stories I told myself were I'm not good enough. I suck. So the actions I took were I hustled to be perfect. I hustled to be a perfect parent. And if you can resonate with what I'm saying, you could say, me too, me too, me too, or drop an emoji or something like that. Because I started acting from this place of perfection. And I see this a lot with women in parenting, that if their child doesn't go to the perfect school, perfect education, if they don't discipline perfectly, they have failed in some capacity because there's a belief here and maybe some trauma from your own past childhood, which creates stories. And then you act or you don't act. So you can swing on the pendulum. And then the reality, this is hard to do it backwards. The reality was parenting was exhausting to me. It was overwhelming. It became a career, and I was mentally second guessing every single action that I was taking. And it was debilitating. Like I wouldn't leave my children. I wouldn't do anything for myself because I, first of all, didn't believe I was enough and worthy of it. And the stories were, self-care is selfish. If I do anything for myself, I'm taking away from my children. So therefore, I never put myself on the calendar. And the reality was I was burnt out, angry, resentful, which instilled the belief that I was a shitty mom, which told me the stories that I don't have enough time, don't have enough energy, don't have enough. And then I just perpetuated this cycle until I burnt out and had to stop, change my belief system, change my story, change my action and behaviors, change my relationship with my children. Okay. I know that was a lot. I'm going to check in. Okay. So my belief is our children are here to teach us what we need to learn as humans to feel alive and in alignment. I personally believe the greatest parenting strategy that every woman, this is my belief, you may not agree with me. I personally believe that every perfect parenting strategy is you becoming your best self. Because when you are in alignment, one, you're not fighting, you're consciously changing these beliefs around your worthiness, stepping into abundance, stepping into feeling good. When you believe you are capable of feeling good, and I'm telling you right now, you don't always need to believe that. You can start changing your actions. You can invest in yourself, and slowly this cycle starts changing. So your beliefs don't need to change right away. Your stories don't need to change right away, even around your parenting, but your actions need to change, or you need to change some form of this cycle so that your reality changes. So what my son was teaching me, first, I wanted to control. So what did I do? My first product that I ever created was called Teach Your Kid to Meditate, because he needed to meditate. And I'm using air quotes. And I laugh about this now because I was projecting he needs to meditate. He needs to feel in control of his behavior. He needs anger management. He needs, to control his anxiety. Meanwhile, here I am as this little sensitive soul, never meditating, never feeling in control of my big emotions. So when I turn the mirror on myself, the conscious parenting, that his behavior was triggering me, and I asked myself, what is it that I need to learn from this situation? I started co-creating my life with him. So I taught him meditation and mindfulness. I did meditation and mindfulness myself. So our actions changed. Our reality changed. My beliefs started to change. So remember I said the belief I had, self-care is selfish, doing anything for myself is selfish. I started doing things for myself. My stories started to change. My feelings started to change. And then the actions and the reality. And I noticed the relationship in parenting started to change. Now, as that continued, so I'm telling you kind of my own personal journey, and then I'll get into more of philosophy and relationships and how I feel a whole bunch of things. As he grew, different, new level, new devil, new age development, new learning opportunities and growth, right? So if you've listened to me the past few days, I've said my mantra has always been, I need to become the person I most desire my children to be. Well, if I want my children to live alive, if I want to be brave, if I want to do all these things, I have to lean into that discomfort. I have to do all the big scary shit before my children. So if you ladies are telling me you're the guide, well, if you've ever been on any type of journey and there's a guide, what are they, right? They are the ones who are masters, or they're familiar with the territory. So I remember being on this mountain trip with a friend. I think I talked about on the podcast once. Her name's Morgan. And Morgan is seasoned on mountaineering and, being in that terrain. And I knew nothing about it. And she was my guide. She's like, this is what you do. This is where you go. This is how you do it. Bumps would come up. And she's like, okay, let's deal with it, blah, blah, blah. We weren't both going in the forest together going, I don't know what to do. She had the wisdom, but she also had the education because she put herself in those situations before. So when your children are struggling with things and you have never dealt with that yourself, you are not going to be able to guide them. So when your children have anxiety, or when your children have these resistance, right? I hear all the time, my child, especially right now, my child is resistant to educational learning, or this way isn't working for them. I'm like, well, tell me about your educational experience. You're like, I hated education. I loved it, so I don't understand them. But the more you understand about how the human brain works and how maybe resistance shows up in your life, or, what is this triggering within me? What's the story you're telling yourself, right? And what's the cycle you're telling yourself? So if your child, the reality is, and maybe I'll do some live coaching with you guys, ladies, you give me an example and then we'll reverse engineer it. I'll tell you an example that I had. I don't know how old one of my kids was, but he was struggling with reading. And that was a big pain point for me as a child. And I didn't know that was still a wound that I needed to take care of. So he was getting, I think it was my oldest, poor first child. They're like guinea pigs, and they get it's like they bring out all your wounds. He was struggling with that because it wasn't his learning style. And I got triggered, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to feel the exact same way that I did. So I went into story mode. And then again, because secretly I already felt like I was failing as a parent. So the stories were, oh my gosh, he's going to become me. He's going to feel like shit. He's going to feel left out. He's going to feel stupid. And then that triggered me, right? So it triggered my not enoughness. And then so I just went on overload and put him in all of these extracurricular activities. And then the reality was we were both overscheduled, miserable, burnt out. And then slowly, as I began to accept myself and was like, oh my gosh, my learning style is completely different. I'm like, I'm perfect just the way that I am. I just learn differently. The stories were, hey, buddy, we got this. That's just not your learning style. Like, you know, let's work on it, right? We can push you through your resistance and I'll hold you accountable. But there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you're perfect just the way you are. But we can always improve a little bit. But my energy completely changed around this. And so did where I was focusing my energy and attention. And then the reality was more in alignment. Make sense? So then when I got cancer 7 years ago, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and I almost died, my biggest fear was, well, I thought it was the fear of dying, but it was that I still did not know how to feel alive. Could not understand the concept. And I know a lot of you are challenged with that same thing. So I do have something coming up for you. So stay tuned, because it's a $500 opportunity for you at the end of today. I did not know how to understand to feel alive. And I figured, I put myself in that situation. I remember that moment. And I thought, I never want my children, and it makes me want to cry. I never want my children to get to this point in their lives where they are hustling to prove their worth so much that they end up sick mentally or physically or emotionally. I never want any human to feel that way. And I know I can't control other people. But if my mantra is, if my belief is, I need to become the woman that I most desire my children to be, like they're human, then I had to figure out how to feel alive. So I went on that mission, conscious parenting, and figured out how to feel alive. So the actions that I took in my life were different and my reality changed. So now the relationship with my children is very different. So now when I see them overwhelmed, stressed out, which we're human, that happens, I can say, what do you need? What are you craving? I need to go for a bike ride. I need a break. I need this. And instead of being like, come on, we got more to do. Let's go. You're not enough. I'm like, you're enough. Let's take a break. Let's course correct. Let's figure this out. Or you know what? As a family, we're going in nature this weekend. I can listen to them now because I understand, because I've walked before them. That is conscious parenting. I do not care if my child gets A++ on their report cards. Do they feel A++ in their heart? That's what I care about. So every time that something feels off to me in parenting, and I'm like, this is hard. This is such a struggle. This is chronically overwhelming. I come back to why. What is the story that I'm telling myself? And yes, we all have days or seasons where we're like, that was mentally challenging. But it does not need to be the way of being. You can have short-term moments of resistance, right? We talked about contraction. You can have those contractions in any relationship where you're like, this is such a hard period. But if you're telling yourself that every behavior that your child exhibits is a reflection of you and bad parenting, you are going to shame yourself down its like depressive spiral. Because I have seen both sides of the coin. I have seen where parents have done everything absolutely perfect and by the book. And when I say perfect, I'm using air quotes. And what I mean by that is gave their child the best education. Like, I walk a very fine line when people say, well, look at their parents. And I'm like, do you even understand what it takes for a human being not to shame themselves for somebody else's results? And I think the reason why that makes me emotional is because I listen to so many women that if we get to the core of their issue is there is shame or feeling like they are failing as a human being because there's a wound that needs to be healed and there's a story that they're telling themselves that they're not enough. And then they cut off their desires and overwork in their relationships, whether it's parenting or something, or they neglect it and then they become workaholics and they burn out. Parents with children who have had diagnosis and they're like, well, see, if I would have just went organic, everything, this is my fault. Really, is it? Is it your fault? Maybe, maybe not. But why do we have to put the weight of our world on our shoulders? Because I believe hindsight is always 20/20, right? Hindsight's always 20/20. And then we get fixated and perfectiony and fearful of like, oh, is that water filtered? Is every ingredient that I put in this, what the fuck is this? A shake? Is every ingredient organic, sourced from whatever? Your thoughts will kill you before the freaking organic apple will. And what I have found in the parenting world is consciousness is not just, it's like, take the fucking pressure off. We're killing ourselves, dying to be a good mother. Okay? The book, TEDx Talk. This is my book title. There you go, on a nice piece of paper. Dying to be a good mother. We are killing off parts of ourselves to be good in the world, to be good enough for our children, to be good enough for the judgment of the other mothers that are like, oh, she works too much. Oh, she doesn't work enough. Oh, she looks this way. Oh, she doesn't look that way. And the pressure. I hear these conversations on a daily basis when people are bawling their eyes out. And sometimes I'm bawling with them and I'm like, yeah, I used to be there. And nobody talks about it. No one talks about it. It is such a shameful part of being a woman. And this is where we feel trapped. Because we've been taught that if we do not self-sacrifice, if we do not give, God forbid you could ever receive anything, we have to be available 24 hours a day to our children. We have to be with them 24 hours a day. If we do anything other than that, we are awful humans. And if you want to make a woman feel bad, make a judgment about her mothering. And then judge the other women who don't want children or cannot have children, or judging women who cannot have biological children. And tell me how that is just the Achilles heel of confidence. So I don't stand for any of that. The second I hear somebody talk shit about another woman, especially around her mothering, I'm like, oh, you're low. That is effing low. And if I hear a healthcare practitioner, oh, I'm calling them out. That's not even microaggression. That is like macroaggression to me. Oh. Whew. Let me see what everyone is saying, because I gotta take a breather before I get too far down the rabbit hole. Worse than not talking about it, we're constantly told we need to do and be these things. Amen to that. Huge win. Oh, I'm so annoyed that I cannot always see all the comments. Let me see here. Maybe I can. I think I can see them more after, which is such a shame. Okay. Apologies, ladies. I can't see all the comments right now. Okay. So here's my point. I will look back at them after. I built my whole platform, Mom is in Control, because I felt out of control in my parenting. And what I realized was Mom, me, Heather, and Mom is just a label, it's a title. You are not a mother. Motherhood is one of your roles. And when we put this hat on that is like, I am, then we identify, and there's this whole identity around it, and it's all consuming. And then you're like, but who am I without that role? So in the book, I talk about this, and I've talked about it publicly before, but I remember this period of, motherhood identified so much of my purpose, because when I became a mother, I was like, this is my purpose. This is my purpose. And I also feel like that's a little bit of a slippery slope and a dangerous place to go. Like my whole brand has been built off of motherhood, my whole business. But now, not that I'm stepping outside of it, but I'm seeing beyond that. And I also do not get all of my sense of fulfillment from my business or parenting. Meaning I want to feel fulfilled in all areas of my life. And that takes time. It takes investment. It takes dedication. It takes commitment. And that's pretty much what I teach people. It's like, how do you want to feel in all areas of your life? And then let's work to get that full fulfillment. So there was a period in my life, and there's this particular story where my oldest, poor first child, my oldest, Logan, 15 years old, was going to school. Oh, sending the first child to school is horrid. I was pregnant with the second, with Calvin, so they're 5 years apart. There was this I was in school that time. I never suggest you graduate and have to write your final exams when you're about to give birth. Like I wrote a final exam, gave birth like the next day, and then had to finish a paper like a week later. Yeah, ridiculous. And none of my teachers really let me off. It's stupid. Anyways, expectations of women, like just pop a baby out of your vagina, write a paper the next day, like you should be fine, right? Anywho, so what was my point? Oh, there was this awkward purgatory fear. Like there was this weird period where I was like 2 months, like didn't work. Logan went to school and I, just waiting for this thing to come out. And I slept all day because remember, sleep is my drug. Sleep was my drug. I'm in recovery. Sleep was my drug because I wanted to numb out because I didn't know how to feel my feelings. So I would numb out. I had severe anxiety. I didn't know it was anxiety because I was a functioning anxiety person, high functioning anxiety. And I would put him on the bus. I felt ashamed of putting him on the bus, but my husband made me put him on the bus because he's like, oh my gosh, like you're going to just don't do that, Heather. Like don't drive him to school. I was like, oh my gosh, but every perfect parent drives their kid to school every day. And they're like, bye buddy, whatever. So I wanted to drive behind the bus. He wouldn't let me do that either. So I was so anxious and I did not know how to sit with my discomfort. So put him on the bus, went back home, felt like poop emotionally. So what did I do? I slept. I'd put a timer on. I'd sleep all day because that was my drug and I wanted to numb out. I would do that, rinse and repeat until this new baby came. And then I had something, oh yeah, my new purpose. Yes, now I have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Because my actions were always for them, not me. Always, 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 always. And then somewhere along the way, like I still am very motivated to do things for other people. So I can mask it that way. I could say I'm going for this run because when I go for this run, I feel better. When I feel better, I'm a nicer person. And whatever makes you do the shit. Along the way, you begin to go, this is for me. This is for me. This is for me. And every single time my children drive me crazy, which I will tell you is not that often. I do get overwhelmed, but I typically only get overwhelmed when I am not taking care of myself, when I'm not using my tools and my strategies, and when I'm not doing the work. There's a lot of different things that I've learned about myself. But when there's something going on for one of my kids, I can now disconnect. Oh my God, this is a reflection of me. No, my child is a soul or a spirit in a body having this human experience. And I was gifted this child to teach me something. They're not mine to own. And as Dr. Shefali would say, they're not my mini me. They're actually not mine. I am just their guide in this thing called life. So when they're having a hard time, I can just sit and listen. We're all recovering rescuers a little bit, moms. I try not to fix. And I'm just there to hold space because I'm telling you, as an adult, how would it feel to be seen and heard and understood and safe as a child? You got to have a lot of self-awareness to be seen, heard, safe. I want to be that safety net, to know that if my child's like, I effed up, but I can call mom and she's going to be mad, but deep down, I know she's like, I got your back. Call me. I might give you a little tough love, but I will never reject you. You could tell me anything. You could tell me who you want to be, who you want to love. It might trigger some stuff in me, but I will work through my own shit. I will never reject you. I think that is the greatest gift we can give to our children. And I also believe that when we stop rejecting ourselves, when we stop rejecting the parts of ourselves, when we begin to see and understand ourselves, and when we feel safe in our own bodies and our own minds, we come back home to ourselves. We're no longer angry and resentful. I say our emotions are there to teach us. We're angry and resentful at people that we said, yes, I will bring you into this earth. Yes, I will take on the responsibility, for raising you. And then we're like, look what I've sacrificed for you. And the child's like, I never asked you to sacrifice anything. You chose to sacrifice yourself for these things because you bought into the story that you doing less for you was benefiting me somehow, but you're just a raging bitch and I don't want to be around you. So I'm just going to back off. So we have to start questioning our stories. Okay. And I think you all can see, if you're looking at the video, the nice back of my head. I just thought I'd point it out. Yesterday I talked about my Angry Bird eyebrows. Today I'm going to have a confession that when I have to go on video, I just curl the front part of my hair and then the back looks like a rat's nest. So you're welcome. That is a Zoom pro tip for you. Just curl the front of your hair and don't worry about the back. It's all business in the back or party in the back, whatever they say. Okay, how do you not get overwhelmed when they bicker constantly? Oh man, I wish I had my secret weapon here. I put on these beautiful noise canceling headphones. Beautiful noise canceling headphones. And I remove myself from that energy. What I often find the bickering is we come in and rescue them because we don't want to hear it anymore. Sometimes I don't want to hear it and I just won't let them. It's like having two dogs going at it, like arguing and fighting. I'm like, you are in this room, you are in this room, but I try not to react. So I'm a very sensitive person. I am empathetic. Like I came into this world a little sensitive soul. Oftentimes I find women that have some gifts or healer talent. I've been told I'm a healer, been told like I'm a very old soul too. I think I came into the world like 1,000 years old. Sometimes they're colicky. I don't know if I was colicky. Maybe my parents can tell me. But sometimes if we have colicky babies or babies with like tough personalities, or they're just big and loud, I had to learn to harness my sensitivity. So I, fell in love with energy healing and Reiki and all of that, because I had to figure out how to like master myself. And I put on headphones for the protection of everybody else. Some people say, don't you feel guilty like you're not listening to them? I'm like, fuck no, I'm doing them a huge service. So again, I'm not willing to sacrifice myself for other people. And that might sound selfish, but I do it from a very, I think that's the most selfless thing we can do, because the wholer I am, I'm like, hey, you can bicker, you can be loud, you can do whatever. I'm just going to wear these headphones. Go be you, or I'm going for a walk. Like I'm not entering this energy or this drama triangle, as they call it. Yeah, I also attract a lot of women who are very sensitive. And as we learn to feel in control of our energy and to use the tools and strategies that I teach, we manage that stuff and boom, you're in alignment, and all of a sudden the clouds part. Okay, please tell me where you got them, Heather. I bought some of the earmuffs, but they are so uncomfortable to wear. I have the Bose ones, BOSE, noise canceling headphones. They were an investment, few $100. Or just buy those really, really cheap earplugs, like the squishy ones, and stick them in. And those are peanuts. Those are a few cents. Okay. I can't see the other stuff. So I drew this. Let's talk about this. And then we're going to wrap it up. So we have 10 minutes. You see this? This is you. I don't know if you could see this on Instagram. This is you. Okay. You have some nice hair. Boom, 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 boom. I want you to realize every time you choose someone else's expectation of you over your need, your want, your desire, like there is a give and take. So I'm not just saying if someone's like, would you like to do the laundry? And you're like, no. But every time you feel angry or resentful, ask yourself why. Every time you choose to self-sacrifice and say, like a child, let's say after this call, I'm going for a walk. And after that walk, which is 10 minutes, I'm going to then be with my family, and it's family time. But let's say as soon as I'm done this call, a child comes in, they're like, I need you, I need you, I need you. Can you help me do this thing? And I say, sure, I'll do it right now. I said no to myself. Okay. And at first, but let's say I don't eat because I'm choosing to feed everybody else except for myself. Then I'm neglecting myself again. Let's say I am in a career that I have forced myself to love because I have responsibilities, and I'm using air quotes. I'm neglecting myself again. Let's say I'm in a relationship where I feel like it's no longer serving me, or I feel very disrespected or trapped, whatever, and I'm constantly neglecting myself. Boom. And every single time I put someone else's needs ahead of mine, I keep neglecting myself. And then women usually finally begin to invest in themselves right about this part where their head is barely above water, and they say, Heather, if I don't do something right now, it's going to get bad. And I've said to people before, or they've said to me, I actually just heard this from a woman the other week. I'm really excited that I'm going in for gallbladder surgery next week. That means I get a break from my life. And I know that to me, this is, I'm like, that's a red flag, but this is very common. I even had one of my son's teachers tell me one time, the only time I had a vacation, because I was gone away for work, so she was shaming me, the only time I had a break from my child was when I was in the hospital for a week. I was like, well, good for you. And you're a raging, angry human. So how did that work out for you? Why do you need to be barely hanging in there in order for you to get your attention? Where you get a disease, you're at your wit's ends, you're like, I'm done, I'm out, I can't handle this, I can't do this. Why? Because we've been taught as women to self-sacrifice. And if you truly believe, and this is my core mission for women to up their worth game, because when you step into that woman, when you step into the worthiness that you want your children to embody, you are no longer barely hanging on. There's no more self-sacrifice. You feel whole. You feel like a whole person. So this is your homework. Belief, thought, action, and reality. We'll post this in the group. What is the belief? What are the stories that you are telling yourself? What's the action that you take from that story? And what's the reality? So if there is something, a goal, okay, so yesterday we talked about goals and desires. You had your wouldn't it be nice list. You put wouldn't it be nice and put one of your little wouldn't it be nice, and then you reverse engineer it. Okay? But if you want to figure out what story you're telling yourself, if you want to figure out what your belief is, you can do that. So that is what is it? That's today, conscious parenting. Your children are here to teach you something. They were gifted to you to wake you up, gifted to you to get you to show up bigger in your life, gifted to you to help you feel in alignment. So I will never admit, I don't know what I was trying to say. I will admit that I feel the whole range of emotion. I get overwhelmed, I get frustrated, I get afraid, I feel guilt, I feel anger, I feel resentment. And I will tell you, when I feel guilty, when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel afraid, when I feel anger or resentment, it lasts minutes. It does not become a personality trait. So when people say to me, you must be so busy, quarantine with 3 boys, oh my goodness. What they're actually doing is projecting their inner stuff onto me. And I'm like, that's actually not my reality at all. No, it was actually a lot easier than I thought it was, because I mastered this and I teach it. And when shit hits the fan, because it does hit the fan, I can course correct. This isn't about perfection. This is about, I have the tools in my toolkit. And this is lifelong learning and consciousness and parenting, relationships. If I want to deepen the relationship with my child, I first have to deepen the one with myself and understand their behavior on a deeper level. All right. So that is your homework. We're going to send out the homework. So the 500 bonus, I put $500 here. I want you to text me. I think this is backwards, so I'm not going to put it here. I want you to text me a little fire emoji. So if you, or the word fire, F-I-R-E, text me the word fire emoji. So what's happening is we are actually launching a 5-week program on Monday, and I'm going to be talking more about it tomorrow and this weekend. But if you text me the fire emoji to my phone number, which is 313-710-5199, and if you're already on that list, guess what? You can just text me the fire emoji. So a little fire emoji if you saw that. I don't think I can do it inside this Facebook group. Maybe I can. I don't know how. Well, maybe it's not going to work. I was going to say I could put it here, but whatever. Or you could text me the word fire, 313-791-99. What we're going to be doing is giving you a promo code for $500 off. That is a 25% savings, Monday only, and the cart will not be open until Monday. So I'll be talking more about what that actually is, but if you want to get on that list, text the fire emoji, because I'm only going to be sending the promo code to those that are on the list. If you have a mentor, you're inside the Facebook group, you can reach out to the mentor and on Monday and say, give me the promo code. If you, for some reason, can't send me a text, you can reach out to your mentor and they will have the promo code for you. If you're watching this on Instagram, you're not going to text me for some reason, you can send me a DM on Instagram with the fire emoji and I'll put you on the list. And that's it. $500 off, 25% savings. Either way, come back tomorrow, do your homework. We're going to post it tonight. I'm going to post the belief cycle for you. And I want you to kind of reverse engineer, like dig deeper. What's the belief I'm telling myself? Like, what's the belief I'm holding? What's the story I'm telling myself around this situation? What's the action I'm taking or inaction and the reality that I'm creating? So I always like to reverse engineer of like, how did I get myself here? Like if there's something that I don't want, how did I get myself here? So thank you everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what your aha moments are. I always love when I get your text messages as well of your aha moments, or you're posting in the comments below, or you're sending me DMs on Instagram. I'll talk soon.